Hello and welcome to another edition of Steve Moran Selects. We're here to preview Caulfield on Saturday, but before we do that, the eyes of the racing world are of course in Brisbane, where our champion mare Black Caviar makes another appearance. She's up against Haylist. That's the BTC Cup, and Steve Moran from Best Bets joins me. Gee, we're looking forward to this race again. Another clash. Will we see any different?
Probably not. It's not so much a case of tipping, is it, this weekend for Doomben and the BTC Cup? It's probably more a case of salivating and looking forward to what we're going to see again on the weekend. And you have to love the fact that Peter Moody hasn't shied away from letting us see this great mare Black Caviar, nor has John McNair shied away from taking her on with Haylist. He's been pretty bullish again. It seems that every time we have this clash that there's a little niggle or some little problem with Haylist. Let's hope he's fine. So far, of course, the mighty mare's had his measure. I can't see it changing again this weekend, particularly as the reports we're getting out of Queensland at this early stage is the track might not be too bad. Weather's improved in the 24 hours up until when we're speaking, and I think if the track's okay, it should be too good again. Pretty decent race, isn't it, with Melito and Buffering, probably the top local hope, and he's a high on-speed, in-form horse. Buffering, he'll certainly give them something to catch, but just looking forward to Black Caviar, hopefully winning again.
Yeah, really looking forward to it, and as we said, that's going to be an undoubted highlight of the weekend's racing. Well, we're looking closer to home. We're at Caulfield for Metro Racing on Saturday. Have you found us a best bet?
Well, I think so, Sean. It's a little perilous at this early stage, depending what the weather's going to do for the next 48 hours or so. Early Thursday morning, track was still in that dead 5 range. It might be a fraction worse. And pattern of racing is going to be very important, particularly when you look at the last 3 races. We've got Basil Demand, the poor man's Black Caviar, unbeaten. Shadowfax and Curtana in those final 3 races, all drawn the car park. Now that may or may not be a disadvantage come race day, so I'd be betting a little cautiously, betting to the pattern as it unfolds on Saturday. But as we sit now, I think the filly Heidi Licious taking on the mares in the 2,000 metre fillies and mares, she might be the best. I think she's got upside. The form around her last 2 runs is good. And I think we probably know the measure of these mares that she's taking on. Pretty keen on her, Heidi Licious.
Heidi Licious, and she's one that might be bound for Brisbane after this next run. What about your best each way? You found one across from the Shaky Isles?
Yes, might disappoint one of your colleagues, I suspect, could be a part owner of this horse, Paul Battar, but Aspinall from New Zealand. The form around her recent runs is terrific, particularly the most recent, when she beat 2 very much in-form horses over there. The runner-up's a bit of a warrior who had plenty of weight and was conceding weight to Aspinall. But the form around her recent runs is terrific. She handles the soft. She can posse up just off the speed. And again, I think she might be better than a fairly well-established group of mares here in Melbourne, and I think she's certainly worth speculating. Aspinall, who is race 3, number 3.
And Basil Demand heads a pretty good sprint later on in the program, but you found your best roughie in it?
Well, I think there's a couple of roughies in this race, 14 and 15 at the moment. I'll go with the 15 Testapel, who's had 2 previous first-up runs, and they've both been excellent, drawn to get a lovely trail behind the speed, and particularly adept on soft-ish ground. If it happened to get really wet, then maybe the other roughies also in this race, and that's Stately Dash, the Warrnambool winner, who's got a new lease of life, and the wetter the better for him, and his fitness edge might kick in if we got to the slow to heavy range. But at this stage, we'll make the roughie Testapel, which is race 6, number 14. Sorry, race 6, number 15.
Race 6, number 15 there. Well, it's going to be a big weekend, there's no doubt about that, as we said. Terrific racing at Caulfield on Saturday, but all eyes on the BTC Cup and Black Caviar. Steve, thanks for your time.
Pleasure. Plenty of support in Brisbane too, of course, with the Rough Habit and other good races on that program, and I reckon Mike Moran might give the Rough Habit plate a shot with Quarter Bar.
There you go. All right, you can find all of Steve's selections for the meeting at Caulfield on Saturday and this weekend's edition of Best Bets. You'll pick that up at your nearest news agency. Good luck if you're having a punt.